You know, there are signs that you're getting old in life. The first one is your dick stops to work, meaning it needs supplements to work better.
Ask your doctor if Cialis is right for you.
The second sign is you find beauty in an older woman.
Stifler's mom.
Hey, Finchie.
Like over 50. And the third sign is that you think that things used to be better back then. And so if any of those three things are you, then this next car review might very well tell you two things. One, is there beauty in the past? Two, am I actually the one getting really fucking old? All right, guys, welcome back to Exotic Car Hacks, and today we are looking at my new to me and in amazing, spectacular condition, 2015 Rolls-Royce Phantom Series 2. A lot of you guys might be wondering, why did I buy a Series 2 Phantom when I already have the new Phantom? And I have two of those, by the way, not even one. So the question is, why would I go buy an older Phantom, especially when we've heard so many horror stories about what Rolls-Royce used to be back in the day? But there is something really quite different about this car. And I originally didn't even want to do this review because I keep some of my cars private. They're not all in the YouTube channel. But this particular one was one that I actually bought originally to just resell. I bought this car because I wanted to I thought to myself, how can I actually just buy this car, make a couple of bucks on it because I got a really good deal. But driving it just one time made me completely fall in love with it, to the point where not only did I decide to keep it, but I'm actually going to completely modify it by putting a Mansory kit on it and a set of wheels to really start driving it. And if you're really confused about why, I'm going to give you a lot of reasons why this is a really exciting car and really different. And part of it you're going to think is that I'm getting really freaking old, which is probably why I actually like this car. So let's talk about it, because currently people may not actually know this, but this is a $450,000, and I want you to see this because I'm not making this up, $450,000 Rolls-Royce. Take a look here. We have the original sticker here, and it says $453,850, which is pretty impressive because in 2015, this would be the equivalent now of someone having roughly like maybe a $900,000 car. I mean, similar to what we saw when back in the day we used to think Aventadors cost a lot of money. Well, the world has changed, right? But there's a lot to be said about a guy that had a car like this back in 2015, because it's very different now, because depreciation schedules were not only very different, but I think the most incredible thing is there are very few of these cars and a very few amount of people that ventured into the Rolls-Royce market back then. So let's take a look at the 2015 specifically, and we'll talk about this car, the options, and really like the differences between the old and the new, because you can now buy a Series 2 car like this in the mid 100s and to the high 100s, and it's just so much car for the money, because a used new Phantom is still roughly anywhere from 280 to 300K. So this is ultimately 150, almost half the price used for used. And I bought this car with a CPO warranty, so I don't have to actually worry about repairs, and only 14,000 miles. And I want you to see this because I think it's absolutely amazing. And the first thing I'm going to point out, the thing that really immediately wins your heart, is that these handles are like metal. They don't feel like cheap aluminum. They are amazing. You feel like you're pulling a heavy door. I really miss these moments. But take a look at this. Look at this white interior in spectacular shape. What a beautiful white interior with the black wood. And it's just in such good shape for a 14,000 mile car. I think it's absolutely beautiful. Truly a collector car based on the mileage alone. But we're going to talk about this car a lot because this is a very interesting car, and I think a very interesting piece of Rolls-Royce's, mainstream into kind of the BMW partnership and what Rolls-Royce should have always been. And it really embodies this, the beginning of a really interesting angle. But the one thing I'll point out, and we're going to get through all of this, but take a look at how amazing the black wood looks. And look, there's a mother of pearl veneer here. That's a $10,000 option to just have this mother of pearl thing running into the wood. So we know that the door handles are metal, which makes it different to the touch. We also know that the wood feels more like wood than the new plastic stuff. But the metal doesn't just carry in the door handles, it carries almost everywhere. Look at this grille, feels very, very tough and very metal-like, unlike this grille here, which feels very polished plastic-like. I don't know, did they use new material? Did they change things? But the metal continues, even on the little pieces here that just feel sturdier and stronger. The wood feels like real wood, the metal feels like real metal, and it probably didn't meet the same safety standards as the new cars. But it's exquisite. Look at it. Look at how nice the base of the seats look. It's just so classy. Now, it's not without its faults, which we're going to talk about, but there is a lot of beauty in this car, and I want to help you discover it with me, and then we'll talk about the differences. So take a look just at how this looks, and at first glance you may say, well, this is a very dated car, very dated interface, and it really isn't. You have your Bluetooth, you have all the same stuff. 2015 was not that long ago, it was only 10 years ago. The style is a little bit outdated, but it's just incredibly classy. And in addition to that, you have all the same tech. Now, it's not as good as, Apple CarPlay and stuff, but it still plays Bluetooth music, and it still has all the same components that the new one has. It has a few differences in terms of feel, in just more than just a fit and finish. As one example of what just doesn't work or has been significantly improved, this yacht-like steering wheel, while very thin, incredibly thin, feels very bizarre to the touch, versus the brand new one feels very comfortable and exciting to the touch. So this is a very pivotal part of what Rolls-Royce changed, because you can tell that this steering wheel was made for a slave to drive you around. But the new steering wheel is made so that you can drive your own car. So if you have a hot chick or an old dude slaving you around, then you're not going to care. But if for any reason you drive your own car, then you're going to care. And that is going to make a significant difference to the touch and the feel of the driving, which is the most important part, because that's what you touch. And one of the best parts about the new Phantom being the actual steering wheel. So clearly they paid attention to this flaw that the old car had. But why don't you get in the car so I can show you some of the interior of this incredible car. So get in the car and let me show you some of these crazy features, because the first thing you're going to notice is it's very, very different. So first off, on this side here, you have this little engine start thing, and actually required a key. And first off, let me point out how different these keys are. Take a look at the new key with the orange mandarin interior Phantom and the old key. Really the same idea, just a little bit better presentation on the new stuff. Nonetheless, this key actually has to go in here and the engine start, then it gets pressed. And take a look at this incredible interface. You saw how I just turned around. Look at this. This is the same thing that they have on the new Bentley, the rotating display. This does not have this in the existing one in the new Phantom, but what you do get with the new Phantom is you get the display going away. Here you get this clock, you get the rotating display. Now, just like the other one, you have your nice covered wood on top of like cup holders to make everything nice and flush, and the exact same system that the new one has. The one notable difference that you'll notice immediately compared to the new one is that all the seat controls, etc., on the new one are not located in the center inbox. Here you have all the seat controls here, and then your other little box here for excess. And you have your little heated seats here, which are cute. And then additional storage here, which you can use for either a phone, a cigar, whatever you want. And something really interesting to point out, which again, I haven't figured out what this button does. I've been pressing it like 20 times. I don't know what it does. I was hoping I'd press it and a midget would come out of the trunk.
the trunk multi-theft retrieval system.
But anyways, but this button opens that, which you can have, like you see I have my phone case here, but a very well lit glove box, very exciting. Look at the presentation, look at the quality, absolutely stunning. And then here you have your Spirit of Ecstasy buttons, which I think is cute, the automatic manual, so you know these things were not in the digital interface back then, so all of this is manual, your clock, your cargo, your valet, like it just all here, and it's just so cute. But look at the quality finish. This is the one part that I absolutely adore, no matter what on these older cars, is that the fit and finish was just so much more available in so many more ways because materials just didn't matter. So take a look at this again. You have this, again, very well done, very clean. The gauges, very analog, very exciting. Everything is clean, like the steering wheel, again, all automated. And look at the leather quality with the hand stitching, just superb, like we used to have on so many old cars. I really love how exciting this whole idea and this whole concept has come out for this car. Like I just really love it. Now, in addition to that, here you have your boot, your lift, and take a look at this. This is one of the things I like. You have your actual open, nothing, you know, really different. The one thing I will say that I think is just, I think is just interesting, is you have an option of Starlight on these older cars, but it doesn't appear here. It only appears in the back there. So a very different concept. I think it looks retarded, like something on the new one they really nailed. You get the star experience, so the whole car gets lit at night. It's kind of like exciting. You don't have this in this old one, so when you're driving, you really feel like you're old, and like the lights are really dim, and you start to wonder if your eyes are failing you because you're old, or we just expected old people to have night vision back in the day, but nonetheless. Now you have a CD player, which again, I haven't figured out where it is either, nor do I care because we don't intend to use it. But to give you an idea, you can still play your old school CDs and listen to them. Same exact vent control as the new one, and the seating position, very comfortable, very exciting. Steering wheel, beautiful to look at, and very, very thin and very annoying to hold to the hand, very hard, something to just consider. But I think the most interesting difference here is that, and that more than anything else, is the steering wheel, in my opinion, that really doesn't do the driving experience really what it deserves. But in the back, it also gets interesting, and I want to take you there for a moment. Take a look here. You get the same controls that you get in the new one. You get the same vents, and you get the same little door buttons, so you get to close your door. Now, you don't get the door buttons on the front doors like you do in the new Phantom, but your passengers will be comfortable, which is also interesting because it shows you how much the Phantom used to be really a car to be driven in, and how much it's changed with the new Phantom, because it really focuses heavily on the driver experience as much as the passenger experience. Now, you have the blowjob mirrors, or so I call them, where you can clearly see your cock at this perfect angle. This is guaranteed not random. Now, I've said this on the new Phantom. There is no way a tech actually put this and it stops right at your cock. On this side, you have these amazing, if I can even get them out, and they're not automated, to be clear, which is okay, but you have these tray tables, which obviously you can use as a tray table, but take a look. You also have these computer screens that are similar to the new one, but you can't have the screen in the table at the same time, something very different from the new one, which is significantly better because it's all electric. Not that you ever use it anyways, maybe your kids use it, but again, kind of defies the idea of a blowjob mirror if you have kids. But anyways, so you have your auto controls, smoker's package, because this was much more common back then. But one thing that I think is really cool here is you have your heated seats here, etc. You know, all the same bullshit you have. But take a look at this. This isn't a joke. You actually, you've seen the new ones have refrigerators. There's a little compartment here for either drinks or champagne flutes or whatever you want to call it. I think it's amazing because you could put 2 champagne bottles here. And I think that's pretty cool to have an actual champagne bottle here in the bottom compartment. Now, the one thing that feels a little bit different being in the back seat of this car is that the roof line and everything's slightly smaller, which is very typical of older cars versus new cars, but not that small. So really, really good car. Really, really interesting how close it is to the new Phantom. and how it's not that different. Now, we'll notice here in design, everything about this car is the same as this exact car, except slightly less usable. And something else that's really interesting, more driver focused and more fuck you, but more classy and get driven in, which I think is really interesting because it's very, not just nostalgic, but it's just a really exciting idea to have kind of a classic Rolls. But the main reason I thought doing this review is because a lot of people don't consider these cars, because when we talk about hacking and driving a car for free, we typically talk about the Ghost a lot because we look at it as a reliable kind of version of the early BMW days. One recommendation I would have is to actually start considering the Series 2, because for the Series 2, you get the better interface. They eliminated those giant, ugly, round lights, and you get these more LED, exciting lights. And you can put a Mansory kit on a car like this for like 30 grand, which means that for 30 grand more and a set of wheels under 200 grand, you get the full Phantom experience, the more exciting metal, nice to the touch experience, and the wow factor is really as exciting as the new one. Even though it's not as exciting to the young people, a lot of people would actually misunderstand how like people on the street really have no idea about the new stuff and the old stuff. And I know that to you might be car people, you might be looking at this and going, definitely like makes sense to me, right? Like this is like what I would do. But let's take a moment here and stop. You know, because you're a car person, but the average person on the street doesn't know the difference between a Veyron and a Chiron, a Phantom Series 2 or the new Phantom. They don't know anything about them. All they see is the badge, the size, and they get excited. And there's a lot of excitement to be had here for under 200K. Now, let's take a look at the real, oh, and by the way, if I didn't mention this, take a look, still has the umbrellas. So you get still to never use these wordless umbrellas that are very expensive for no reason, because they take 20 minutes to, you know, I never understood that actually. Maybe someone can explain this to me in the comments. So you're getting wet, right? Like you're like getting out of the car and you're like, I'm gonna get my umbrella. So you're like, come here and you go, let me take this out. But in order not to break it, it takes a moment, you pull it all out. Now you have to undo it and you're already fucking soaked at this point. You're like, okay, I have an umbrella. Now, here's a part that I don't get. It takes at least like 3 minutes to put this back. And then you have to come while you're getting wet and go, whomp, I put this in, bam, now I close the door. Now, to be clear, your whole door got wet. Like you put the umbrella back. Well, even if you're being driven, you can't put it back. Like that's the point. So what are you gonna do with it? You're gonna put it in the front seat and like let it ruin the car? We can't do that. So I never understood the point of these giant umbrellas in the door. Why not put smaller, clever, like more exciting emergency umbrellas instead of these giant things that don't fit in the front seat? So I want to say that, you know, someone at Rolls-Royce must have thought about this and have an explanation for why you have giant umbrellas that either destroy your car or destroy your clothes based on how long they take to get in and out of a car. And then if they're supposed to be to cover your passengers, then why the fuck are they in the passenger door? Why don't you put them in the driver door? It doesn't make any sense. Exactly. And then most people, you see, most people that get these doors, I want to say this too, most people that get these cars, they make a mistake because they're like, oh my God, it's raining. And they're like, let me put this shit back and it ain't working, so leave it like this. Then they shut the door and it cracks the fucking door. So like, I don't understand that part, but maybe, like I said, and listen, I'm gonna give you guys a lot of credit on YouTube. This is a moment of me and you right here. It took me 3 years to figure out that I could use 3 fingers to shut down the radio on my STO, and put the mute button would be 3 fingers instead of 2 fingers. Lamborghini told me if I finger fucked my car, I could go up and down in the volume, but they never told me if I 3 fingered it and went full wide, it would shut the radio at once. 3 years it took me to figure that out because one of you guys told me this in the comments. So do please explain to me why this idiotic system is an actual good system, and perhaps we can be friends once more. But anyways, so let's talk about the values on these. Again, how much cheaper can a Rolls-Royce really get? From $500,000, $450,000, all the way down to $150,000, that's roughly 30 cents on the dollar. And if you think about it, does Rolls-Royce get 30 cents on the dollar with 15,000 miles and 2 years of CPO coverage? I mean, I think it's tremendous value. And I think it's an amazing opportunity to own an amazing car that a lot of people are overlooking because the supply is so much more limited than a Ghost. And I would argue that this is probably the only true Rolls-Royce real element that it had until the Ghost came in and started becoming very BMW-ish, because there is nothing that feels BMW about this Rolls other than the key. And so my final thoughts are, if you're gonna spend $300K on a used new Phantom and you have it, it does make sense, especially if you're driving yourself. But I wouldn't overlook these cars, because for 150 grand, that is a lot of luxury, a lot of value, and more than anything else, I don't think these values are gonna drop below the 140, 150K line anyways, as long as the cars stay clean. So my suggestion for anyone looking for a really good value luxury sedan, go look for a Series 2 Phantom. Not a Series 1, so you get the better interface, you get the better driving and the better tech, but this is just an incredible opportunity to own what I consider to be a very important Rolls-Royce car with all of the flash at a fraction of what it typically costs. And knowing that it's actually reliable, similar to Ghost, makes it an even more impressive proposition. So hopefully you like this video. Make sure you click like, subscribe, and of course turn on notifications, and you'll see me next time for another incredible exotic car review. So I'm gonna go and figure out how those rear blowjob mirrors work. Anyways, see you guys later.